Network Entertainment.
Who's ready for story time?
What's going on? This is Xavier Woods, aka Austin Creed.
Let me talk to you.
Hello, WWE Universe in the Philippines. This is Charlotte.
Hey everyone, this is Jeff Cobb.
I have to finish the story.
We are pretty deadly. Yes, boy. Yes, boy.
Run!
Bang! The sniper is shooting you down. This is TMDK's Robbie Eagles.
Hey, this is the Cosmic Cactus, Paul London.
Hello, my name is Ilya Dragunov, the Czar, the NXT champion, and you're listening to...
And you're listening to...
And you're listening.
And you are listening.
And you're listening
to the Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
To the Wrestling Podcast. Yeah.
Watching and listening to the longest running weekly episodic Filipino wrestling podcast. This is the Wrestling Podcast. Stancy, Ro and Emile natin all checking in on a Thursday evening. And I just gotta say, I haven't given babyface producer Jasper his props yet on the stream for that wonderful OBB. It's been a while since I've been on the live stream, so ngayon ko na siya talaga narinig. So yeah. Thank you, babyface producer Jasper, who's not here, but we've got Zeke at the controls. He's tagging in for a very busy babyface producer Jasper. Hi to everyone who's joining us tonight. Great to have a lot of our usuals here in the comments. If you're catching the audio-only version, thank you as well for checking out the Wrestling Podcast. Ang dami na natin pag-uusapan as always, pero batiin muna natin yung sweet shirt na suot ni Emile natin ngayong gabi.
Hey! Yeah, this is actually a gift from you guys, so thank you so much.
Yeah, he's doing a Paulo Balicer. It is your graduation gift. Congrats on graduating. If Rowan ever graduates, he'll get a gift too. Although, nabigyan ko na rin siya ng gift recently. But hey, it looks good. I was hoping you would wear its show, but this is fine as well.
Yeah, pwede ko naman ito labhan. And then,
I guess, yeah.
So
basta huwag ka nang jabarin ngayong gabi.
Yeah, hindi naman. I'm in an aircon room, so that's fine.
Before, all right. I just wanted to say, before we get into real business, I was checking the emails. I was checking the chart emails last night. And I saw that the Wrestling Podcast is number 42 in the great country of Sweden. Baby, we're in Sweden. How did we get to Sweden?
The home of pop music.
Yeah,
yung mga favorite nating boy band tunes, early 2000s bubblegum pop, Sweden, man. What the hell?
Yeah, tsaka they followed us to Sweden, pero we won't be leaving. So, thank you to everyone around the world who has found our little podcast. Na maraming, it's full of Tagalog, so I don't know how you can get through it, but you found us enough to chart in other countries. So thank you so much.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Now, if only we can get coupons or GCs to IKEA. Okay na kami.
Yeah.
So kami doon. Sa achievement na yun. All right, we've got a lot to talk about, but as always, we got to invite you to be part of our growing Wrestling Podcast patron community. Emile, you know the deal, so let them know.
All right, so you can enjoy the Wrestling Podcast in its full by subscribing to our Patreon. It's at patreon.com/Wrestling Podcast. For as low as $5, so 260 to 270 pesos in our local currency, you get a lot of benefits. Of course, one of those is you get to join in on our Discord community where you can hang out and interact with your fellow podcast. And we have actually 3 major PLE/pay-per-views this November. So we're still ironing out the details whether or not we're going to have an actual watch party or a watch party on Discord. So we got Full Gear, Crown Jewel, and Survivor Series. So watch out for that. And then if you've been noticing in the last few months, we've been doing this new system of doing our pasabayas. And if you're a part of our Patreon, you'll get some sweet discount rates on the service fees. So if you want to rep your legit wrestling merch like I am wearing it, and also Stan is wearing right now. You could join in on our Patreon and join in on our Pasabais, and you'll also get the review content of the weekly wrestling shows, courtesy of Ro and Rowan. And again, by joining our Patreon, you're pretty much supporting everything that we do here on the pod. So again, it's at patreon.com/wrestling podcast.
Thank you so much, Emile. Let's get to some wrestling talk. We're going to get to our first talk point. It's fresh off AEW. Wala pang 12 hours since this announcement was actually made. Sting went on air and he announced na yung kanyang real retirement match is happening at Revolution 2024. So that's in about 5 months, right? It's brought a lot of people, brought a lot of emotions out of a lot of people. Was it Glendale or was it Ina? Ina was the one who asked here. Yeah, like who do you want Sting's final opponent to be? People in the comments are also already showing love for the Stinger, which I guess we can keep doing naman until he has his final match and actually retires. But magandang question to, yung tinanong ni Ina, because I tend to agree with her that after everything Sting and Darby Allin have had to go through, it kind of has to be Darby here.
Yeah. No, it's pretty much, I think all of us agree here na should be Darby kasi siya yung kasama niya since the beginning in his AEW run. Saka they're doing this yung mentor-mentee relationship with Darby, and this is a good way to pass the torch, you know? Like your last test here as his mentee is to, you know, go up against the Stinger himself.
I am not so sure it's going to be a 1-on-1 versus Darby. I think Sting has been past 1-on-1s right now. Even though, yes, that's the clear choice. That's a no-brainer talaga kasi he is the partner. But I have a feeling na kind of like Ric Flair, the quote-unquote last match is going to be with someone against at least more than one person, diba? So I don't know who that's going to be. I don't know if it's going to involve Christian or Nick Wayne. Because I think that would be the more sensible choice, given that there are still people that Sting is in a story with. So he's not just, he's not just wandering around aimlessly. He is still a part of this larger edge Christian, Luchasaurus, Nick Wayne, Darby Allin story. So I wouldn't be surprised if that would be the choice. But at the same time, it's still a while until Revolution. That's going to be around February or March 2024. So that's a lot of time to build someone else. I think by setting up the fact na Sting has called the shot na may specific date in mind, they're going to build a story around that. And, people are going to be lining up to be the one to retire Sting. So I think it could be Darby. It could very well be him, but I don't want to say that it's open and shut na siya talaga.
Mm-hmm. So when Sting made his announcement, and I was watching Dynamite on replay, on demand, obviously not live, no? And yung una kong naisip was, okay, AEW at some point will have to have its inaugural Hall of Fame class. And when Brody Lee passed away, a lot of people said Brody's surely in that class. I tend to agree as well, but you put in Brody Lee, you put in Sting. Who else should be part of this inaugural Hall of Fame class, hypothetically?
Do they have to be retired? Ano ba? What's the criteria here? Ano bang,
the Hall of Fame usually retired or like dead. So
yeah, I guess they put Ray in the Hall of Fame, but he's not retired. Sige, retired or dead?
I kind of want to put Cody in there. Like, not saying na hindi na siya babalik ever sa AEW, pero he was the guy who helped build that place.
I don't want to call Cody yet kasi like show's not over for him.
Yeah.
Marami pa siyang kakainin bigas. Marami pa siyang gagawin, rather. He could very well come back to AEW when all is said and done, the way Ric Flair is jumping around promotions now. I think it's too early to name other people to the AEW Hall of Fame, other than Brody and Sting, right? So I don't know. It's too early for me to call. If you're really gonna have a Hall of Fame class, then sige, go for it. Go name Brody and Sting. Pero other than that, Brian eventually when he retires to say we're gonna assume that it's his last calendar year of full-time pro wrestling, then you might as well put him in. Chris Jericho when he retires, but that's not gonna be anytime soon as well kasi dami pang energy ng tito nyo. So I don't know. Lakas patuhod nun.
I don't know. What if someone actually lobbies for CM Punk to be in the Hall of Fame?
I wouldn't be.
Oh no,
it's gonna be. In theory, on paper, I wouldn't be against it because he was a big thing for the couple of years that he was here. But syempre, the pragmatics of that is gonna be bad. Nobody's gonna like that. But yes, he is Hall of Fame worthy, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
No, what if it's Brian Danielson?
Yeah, Ro just said that nung naglalag ka.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're yeah.
Medyo malala ang lag ni Emile ngayon. So, sige.
Yeah, it happens to everyone.
Yep. Okay, to close out the Sting conversation here, may other thoughts ka ba, Ro? Because like for me, it's huge news, yes, but also Sting is in his 60s.
I am just trying to figure out bakit nila naisipang i-announce to ngayon. Like, there wasn't even a big announcement. The big tease to this segment was a rumor that said that Sting was going to retire. And then the rumor came true. He did announce a retirement, but not the retirement. So, I don't know bakit minadali ito. There's something fishy going on here, like NSYNC's reunion tour. But I'm trying to figure out what it is. I don't know if it's red herring of some sort. Are they announcing a retirement because there won't actually be a retirement? I don't know why all of a sudden in the middle of the story happening with Christian and everyone, they announced this side thing. So it really is strange to me, the timing of it all. Those were my bigger thoughts about this, other than the fact that he was retiring.
So like Eminem, you can't really tell you what it really is. You can only tell us what it feels like.
You can only tell us what it feels like, yeah.
Ito, sabi ni Glendale, Christopher Daniels for the AEW Hall of Fame. Yeah, agree ako
Yeah,
dyan.
sure. Yeah, go for it.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
All right.
Frankie Kazarian as well, yeah.
Yeah, if he ever comes back, di ba? Okay, let's jump to WWE here and let's talk about the Judgment Day because they have regained the undisputed tag team championship from Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. So here we go again with Finn Balor and Damian Priest, even though kala natin doon na patungo sa split up nila, di ba? Because JD cost Damian Priest the championship. So what do you make of this title switch 8 days after Fastlane?
It's interesting. Parang to me, it felt like they were correcting something here. They were course correcting something. I don't know if it were because people had been complaining about the sudden title change at Fastlane in the first place, or something happened backstage and hindi natin alam over the past couple of weeks. Maybe The Rock actually couldn't make it for WrestleMania 40, sorry. That balik na si Cody sa story, you know. It just felt like something changed and that they had to do something real quick, because these things, if you've been following the past year in Triple H, you know that he doesn't really do a lot of things at the last minute. That's the whole reason why you still have a Roman Reigns title reign going on. You still have a Gunther title reign going on. He's planning these things ahead of time. So when you feel something na hindi long-term yung pagkakaisip, parang ganito nga. But at the same time, it could also be a long-term thing that they planned, you know? It could also be something that they really planned, but we go back to Fastlane. They did do the whole thing with JD McDonough costing inadvertently the tag team championships ng Judgment Day. So they seem to have kind of dropped that for whatever reason. They haven't quite mentioned JD after that. Parang they moved back into Jay and Cody. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Normally my call wouldn't have been a miss because they were telling that story. I was going by how they were telling that story. So it's weird lang. Something strange. I guess we'll find out eventually what that thing is that forced this sudden change. Pero it does feel weird. And when the title change happened on Raw, it felt like the people weren't all in for it. Kasi parang flat yung reaction. I don't know if it was just, the people in that particular arena that night, but I think the whole world kind of warmed up to Jay and Cody anyway, especially after the infamous press conference in which they had a libation or two. So, yeah, it's really weird. I don't know why it's like this. I just know that, again, can't tell you what it really is. I can only tell you what it feels like. Something is amiss.
Yeah, Jimmy Uso interfered here and he cost Jay and Cody the match. So we were trying to steer Jay Uso away from the Bloodline story, and yet he gets roped back into it just weeks after this shift in storytelling was supposed to happen. So, Emile, now that you're back, napapagod ka na ba with Jay being pulled right back into the Bloodline's orbit?
Yes, in a way, yes. I also think it's too soon. Kasi alam ko naman na babalik din to eventually with Jay and Jimmy feuding kasi, that's what they want. Like, they want a match at WrestleMania against one another. Pero, hindi man lang nila binigyan ng time for their own characters to be fleshed out and, para mahasa sila maging single stars on separate shows. Na they could have done this months later. They could have done this at the Royal Rumble. They could have done this near WrestleMania. Pero I don't like na Jimmy just came to Raw and sparked this feud all over again. Like nasa point pa ako na pagod pa ako with the Bloodline story. Na I thought, okay, they should take a break from involving Jay in it and let him do his own thing first para ma-establish talaga na he really doesn't want to do anything with the Bloodline anymore. Pero I don't know, we're back. I guess he's back in it again for some reason.
Yeah, Leo has a good question here in the chat. Will there be War Games in Survivor Series? So that's a good question because I was thinking about it, especially when Jimmy interfered. Because he and Damon Priest exchanged knowing glances. So parang that told me that Damon and the Judgment Day and Rhea, especially when they hung out with Paul Heyman a couple of weeks back, they nagka-usapan sila na you do this, we'll do that. And maybe this is it. Maybe this is the thing. Maybe this was the plan after all, now that I think about it. But it does feel strange the way they executed it. So because there was that wrinkle, it did make me think. It didn't make me think na baka nga walang War Games because War Games is only 4-on-4, diba? And
it was actually 5-on-5.
Yeah, last year it was 5-on-5.
Was it 5-on-5 last year?
Yes, it was.
Yep.
Even if it was 5-on-5, that's still what? 4 guys in the Bloodline, 4 guys in Judgment Day, and then at least 2 guys in the Bloodline, right? So, and then you have the rest. The rest who are collectively a coalition against the Bloodline and the Judgment Day. So that's going to be a little too much for War Games, and they really haven't announced Survivor Series being War Games this year. Kaya napaisip ko, okay, it may be going back to traditional Survivor Series, but at least we're not getting the Raw versus SmackDown shit.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Hindi lang yun, yung mga sobrang random 5-man teams na wala man lang ka-story at all. So I would rather be in the territory we're in right now than, here's a bunch of random baby faces and a bunch of random heels. Go fight.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's really good. I think they did do a good job of setting up the fact, okay, this won't be War Games this year, which is actually, I personally welcome it because I wasn't a big fan of War Games anyway. So I'm looking forward to traditional Survivor Series done in the traditional ruthless aggression era way.
When was the last time? I was gonna ask. When was the last time we got traditional Survivor
Team
Series?
Cena versus Team Authority.
Na may story, hindi lang yung brand
yes,
warfare.
Team Cena versus Team Authority.
That's a long time ago.
That's a long time ago.
It's almost 10
About
years.
a decade ago. 2014. Yes.
Yeah.
Napaisip din ako eh. Yeah, probably that. Then again, we did get a very good Raw versus SmackDown
2016.
match nung 2016.
Yeah, that was really good.
The matches are good, pero syempre, it's still Raw versus SmackDown, and nobody really cares about that story. They haven't cared about brand supremacy since the mid-2000s, diba?
Yeah. Tsaka wala ring stakes. Like, what are they fighting for? It's like, okay, mas magandang brand mo, and then after that, no one gets anything, diba? So
yeah. Glendale says save War Games till William Regal is allowed for TV, which is likely next year. Which is actually that actually makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I can mess with that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Just so you can hear him say it. Sorry, go.
You wanted to talk about this. May fatigue na ba with all these heel factions like the Bloodline and the Judgment Day and to an extent Imperium?
That's actually a pretty interesting question. I was thinking about this earlier today when I was watching Dynamite, but not specifically about the heel factions thing, but the fact that if you're like me who has to catch almost every show on TV every week, you take in a lot of content and then you take in a lot of the same tropes in each promotion, which is not a bad thing because you can't, not do something because the other company's doing it as well. Diba? Like there are only so many tropes to go around in wrestling. So if you watch a lot, then yes, it really is a lot easier to get tired of all these things. But within the context of WWE itself alone, I would say yes. But not because Triple H deemed it so. Like he was really working with the pieces that Vince left him. Diba? The Bloodline was a Vince thing. Judgment Day was a Vince thing, even if it was an Edge thing at first. Diba? Imperium was a Triple H thing, but he did that on NXT. He did that way before the Bloodline was a thing as well. So, nagkataon lang na they're all doing this together in almost one show.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was up to Triple H to find a way to make it work. And by not necessarily dismantling them, but, trying to find a way to, I don't know, finesse it somehow. I don't know the answer as well then. That's why I'm not a booker. I'm only an editor. I do think that there is fatigue, and there is understandable fatigue, and I think now Triple H has to find a way to wean the stories, the brands off of these three major heel factions, or at least two major heel factions. Albert, no, a babyface faction won't fix that problem. The problem is there are factions to begin with. Maraming factions. And whether they're heel or babyface, the fact that people are in gang wars is kind of what's tiring here. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask, AEW has that same situation, but AEW's been in that spot way before WWE was, because from the get-go, they already positioned themselves as very much like New Japan, very faction-based.
The thing with AEW kasi is that the factions don't quite rule the storylines. Parang they're there, pero it's like they're there. They're units. They're not traveling together in packs. It's not like the BCC was in every match. Bryan Danielson was in. It wasn't every match. John Moxley was in. Not even every match. Claudio was in as ROH World Champion. Diba? It's just one of those things na they're there. You know that they're part of units. Like Orange Cassidy didn't have the best friends with him in each match. Diba? It's only right now. It's only really Bullet Club Gold and I don't know who else. Who else you have here?
Dati, Inner Circle or the JAS.
Yeah. Pero they don't rotate, they don't put everyone in the rotation, diba? I don't think it was ruled by the gangs that much. So, I think that's a big difference here. Talagang, everyone belonged to a team in AEW, but the full teams didn't always see play. Yeah, diba? The Don Callis family thing wasn't even a thing. Like, this week it was Kenny Omega versus Kyle Fletcher, and then they only hung back on commentary, diba? So whereas every week you see the Judgment Day do their thing, the Bloodline do their thing, Imperium do their thing in the mid card. There is overlap, there are similarities, but I think AEW right now has done the better job of making sure that it's not overrun with factions to the best of their ability.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about Shinsuke Nakamura. We'll also talk about John Cena's PLE outlook for the foreseeable future, and Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins. But first, let's take a break and hear from our other podcasts on the Pod Network. All right, let's get right back to it. Emile's just restarting kasi may technical difficulty siya ngayon. All right, let's talk about
the best of us.
Shinsuke Nakamura did a GTS on Raw last week against Ricochet. So medyo delayed to, but this has been making the rounds on social media. And a lot of people are wondering why there are these CM Punk references. Apparently, tong clip of Shinsuke doing the GTS was actually posted by the WWE social media with the caption, "Best in the world?"
No, they posted this clip, and then the fucking USA Network Instagram account tweeted or replied, commented "best in the world." So that's why.
Ayun, yun pala.
That's why there's a new uproar this week, because people just discovered that comment. So now, syempre, the rumor mill is going crazy. The conspiracy theory house is going crazy because as we discussed last week on both Picks of the Week and the bonus episode, Fightful shot the whole rumor down. But they said that they heard that there were no talks happening, and now this kind of calls that into question. To me, I don't know. I think it was Nakamura just doing the whole Kenta thing, not CM Punk thing, but the Kenta thing. And si Kenta yung sumagot on Twitter. He was the one who replied.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Albert, I would much rather see Hideo Itami back in the WWE than fucking CM Punk. And then I think USA just fucked around. Whoever the social media guy ng USA was fucking around with the whole best in the world thing. I think it's just that. Pero syempre, people are gonna say nobody does anything in a vacuum, which is totally fair. Sige, let's give people that. Totally fair to saying that if you're teasing. If you're doing these things, then you're teasing. But I don't know why Nakamura, of all people, would be calling out CM Punk. I don't understand.
Napaka-chill ni Shinsuke. Like, why would he be the one to call out Punk? Here's a question, Ro. Let's say you see your social media manager comment that yung best in the world and it starts this spiraling of online rumors, no? Will you fire the guy or will you sanction the guy for that comment?
No. I mean, it's USA. Sino ba? Who's social
the
media
USA
manager?
Network social media guy.
Well, no. Why would you know? It's not like he it's not like he gave out fake news, diba? Wala namang false info na ano lang. He just made a jab about CM Punk. Diba? Like everyone in the Western Hemisphere identifies the GTS with CM Punk.
Right.
To Kenta's chagrin. So that's the joke there. That was the joke. And why would this random social media guy from USA Network know about any top secret talks between CM Punk and WWE? Anong alam ng social media? Anong alam ng Instagram intern ng USA Network to? So that's the thing that people are not thinking about here. Why would this guy know about a top level star returning to WWE?
Ikaw, Emile, did this clip find its way onto your timeline? May comment ka ba like when it first showed up?
It is just funny. I mean, alam naman natin lahat na there's no confirmed reports, there's no confirmed talks between Punk and WWE. So I think the social media guy is just playing into it's just playing into the jokes, playing into the memes na like this, like he's a trending topic, so syempre they will like social media people are always gonna capitalize on that, whether or not may truth dun sa mga rumors o wala. That's their job, eh. Iba naman sila dun sa ginagawa ng WWE itself. So it's fine. Like I take it for what it is. I don't take it as a hint. I don't take it as something I would look into it more kasi alam ko naman na it's a joke. Eh. So for like people has to differentiate what is trolling and what is not. Yeah.
What was more baffling to me was why Nakamura didn't go to sleep to begin with. But you can always chalk that up to him, fucking around because he's an anime villain now. Diba? It's the Japanese thing. Kenta's in NJPW now. Kasabay na si Kenta in the mid 2000s, in the late 2000s. So it's one of those things that there is a connection somehow, not because there is a connection to CM Punk.
Yeah. Feeling ko yung mga Punk loyalists or yung mga diehards, they're really just looking for any reason to be like, yes, CM Punk is coming back.
Yeah, yung mga DBS dyan, diehard Book supporters.
Mga Punk ones.
Yeah, Yeah, pangkalawans yun. Mga pangkalawan. Yeah, and God, it's just I just feel annoyed that we have to talk about these non-existent rumors for the third straight show in a row. Because people want CM Punk to come back.
Oh, see, let's move on. Let's move on to someone we'd rather talk about, and that is the greatest of all time, John Cena. So John Cena is still in the WWE for the foreseeable future, at least until the SAG-AFTRA strike ends. So hindi natin alam until when he's gonna be there. We talked about this a few weeks ago na John Cena versus Solo Sikoa is reportedly being set for the Royal Rumble, but now it looks like we're getting either Cena versus Solo or Cena versus Roman at Crown Jewel. So do you want it to happen now habang kaya pa, or do you want to stretch it out and see how far we can take this John Cena comeback in 2023/2024?
The thing about Cena is he's proven now that he's more loyal to the Hollywood work, which is fine, totally fine. I'm an advocate of you getting your bag in wrestling and getting out while your body's still intact. He's proven that, diba? He has shown when the movies come calling, that's where he'll go. And I don't think you want to risk the fact that Cena has an ongoing story. I don't think he wants to risk that by doing something down the line, which is what? 3 months down the line.
Yeah.
Just because wala pa siyang trabaho sa Hollywood ngayon. Diba? So, these things have been teased to happen. This was teased last week's NXT, the main event where Cena showed up. So Solo was there to mess around with him. And then Solo was there to mess around with him on Friday as well. So it's not a coincidence that these things are happening as well. I know I said that sometimes things are a coincidence with CM Punk. But for this, with the special set of circumstances John Cena is in, you do have to factor in the fact that by the time the Rumble comes around, the strike might be over, and then you don't want to bet on a might.
Mm-hmm. If you look at the Crown Jewel poster, John Cena's clearly on it. So that's the next PLE, but that's what 2 weeks away. You also have Roman Reigns, who's messing around with LA Knight. That's probably going to be the championship match. So, ikaw, Emile, do you want to see Cena versus Solo at Crown Jewel already?
Yes, kasi yun na nga eh. Like, Cena has said it himself na once this strike is over, he's gone. So, they should, like I said last week, they should do the match while they still can. Wag na sila maghintay na mawala pa si Cena because of the strike.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
I remember something being said, hindi ko alam kung si Triple H or si Vince, but this was way before Triple H became head of creative, like sometime in the mid-2010s, na the WWE philosophy when it came to booking for shows is that you try to get the big match now and instead of like building to like a tentpole show. That's the reason why we got the Shield matchup, the Triple Threat Shield match at Battleground 2016. And that's the only time we got it, diba? So is this one of those times where wag na natin isipin yung tentpole event? We have Cena now. We don't know until when we've got him. Let's book him in a big PLE match right now.
Yeah, kasi unless Cena somehow says, "No, okay, I'm already here and dito na rin ako." The strike took a while, so I'm still here, and I'll clear my schedule and make my other co-actors wait before wait until after Royal Rumble or WrestleMania 40. So if he does that, then sure, let's build up to a tentpole show. But otherwise, I don't think you can make Margot Robbie, Gal Gadot, Ana de Armas wait for John Cena and WrestleMania.
Yeah, medyo matagal-tagal pa eh, diba? We are 6 months away from WrestleMania season, so I don't know how long this SAG-AFTRA strike is going to last this time around. I also don't know what John Cena's immediate plans are. Let's say it lasts all the way until WrestleMania season. I don't think si Cena himself papayag siya na he'll keep being in wrestling until that long, diba?
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, he can say that he loves wrestling. He can say that WWE will always be his home, but that's not what he's been doing the past few years, right? So, sorry, Emile, go ahead. Emile? Okay. All right. Yeah, so it's just really one of those things that it's I don't want to throw shade at Cena for choosing Hollywood, because I would choose Hollywood as well. But we're just stating facts here that this is what he's done. This is what he's told us through his actions lately.
Yeah, yun din. I just want to make it clear now, we at the podcast, we're not dunking on John Cena. We're not trashing his choice to choose Hollywood, diba? If anything, we actually support it, because for one, he's not taking bumps, and two, he's making way more.
Yeah, you got MWF guys making doing movie roles now, diba? So legit yun. The movie bag is where it's at, y'all.
Yeah. Who are we to throw shade at a wrestler who chooses the movie star lifestyle? Sino kami, diba? Sino ba kami? All right, moving on. Drew McIntyre and Seth freaking Rollins, it seems like their storyline is up to third gear at this point. And based on yung Raw review that you put out on the Wrestling podcast, Patreon Raw, you said na Drew is actually more relatable and rootable than Seth freaking Rollins here.
Yeah, I was listening to the promo battle, and it was really nice because it was some good writing there. And they really hashed out Drew's motivation since coming back and being a little more rough around the edges, especially when Jey Uso came to Raw. I thought that he really did a good job of explaining himself. It's not right. It's not the right thing to do. What he's doing now, his mindset is not the correct thing to do. Like that guy needs therapy. He needs mental therapy. But to me, he is way more interesting than the guy who needs physical therapy over here with the champion. But Seth, we talked about this last week, but Seth has become way less compelling to me since beating Nakamura the first time. You've kind of lost me here with this whole invincible Super Seth here. It's one of those things that the veterans have told us, and you gotta sell the damage. The selling the damage is what makes things more interesting. Even though I can also point you to how Japanese wrestlers toughing it out and drawing on the fighting spirit is also pretty cool, but this is not quite fighting spirit. I don't know. There's something about Seth that isn't quite fighting spirit to me. I don't think he sold it like that. Like, there's a difference between Seth and Ilya Dragunov that I can't quite put my finger on yet. I'll get back to you when I do. So, I think the writing has also done Seth a disservice here to the point na talagang mas interesting talaga sa akin si Drew. And I kind of do want to see him win it now because that guy does deserve a break too. He does deserve his big moment in front of the fans. So he might not be in the right, but he does also have this anti-hero streak going. As I said, it was the one bad day Drew that is worth exploring as a shades of gray character.
Siguro to flesh out yung thoughts mo about Seth not being as compelling, I think it's the problem of the babyface champion, diba? We've talked about this on the podcast before, but the babyface champion or the babyface championship reign feels a bit stale after some time. So I think we're at a point where Seth has kind of been champion too long. I don't know if you guys feel that way, but maybe this could explain why you feel that way, Ro. Na parang, okay, he's become Super Seth, he's become invincible, and maybe it's time that an actual heel defeats him for the championship again.
I don't remember if I said this when we were talking about Seth a couple of weeks ago. But also, the whole Nakamura thing was supposed to be the part where it was supposed to make Seth interesting and compelling. But the problem was, and I know I mentioned this, the problem was he didn't lose. He didn't get to rock bottom. He beat Nakamura twice, and one of them was in a last man standing match with a
broken back.
Yeah, with a broken back through a table. And a lot of people were so mad about Cody losing. Now I remember. I think I did mention this. And I'll repeat it here. Ang dami nagalit nung natalo si Cody nung WrestleMania. But I think a lot of these same people, I don't know, I'm just talking out my ass here. I think a lot of these same people are now losing interest in Seth Rollins for doing what they wanted Cody Rhodes to do at WrestleMania. The whole stretch from this year's Rumble to WrestleMania, what they wanted Cody to do. So I think this is a testament to how the up run of a top baby face isn't really the best thing for them.
Yeah. But veterans will always say that the money's in the chase. So if you're a baby face, it's still better to be chasing for the championship. Then you get your moment in the sun, then you have your fall from grace para maging underdog ka ulit. So the more that I watch long baby face championship runs go stale, for lack of a better term, mas bumabalik talaga yung paniniwala ko dun sa veteran adage na yun. Emile, let's see if your internet's much better right now.
Sorry about that.
There, you sound good. Should Drew McIntyre go full heel?
I think yes. Papunta na din siya dun eh. Kasi
but he's not there now.
He's not there now.
I'm asking if he should.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yung kapalit doon is I don't think Drew's gonna win yet at Crown Jewel. Kasi the Crown Jewel loss will be the moment where he finally snaps and turns heel. You know? Pero I'm okay with that if ganun yung mangyayari. Kasi eventually, I want Drew to be the one dethroning Seth. I just don't think it's gonna happen at Crown Jewel kasi yung match na yun, that would be just a triggering point for his heel turn. Kasi I don't think he can turn heel and then win the match. Like that, you know, it wouldn't look good as if kung matalo siya and then he will turn heel and then he will be, you know, dastardly Drew McIntyre again, and then dun niya madidethrone si Seth for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Eto, just me spitballing here for the both of you. What if Seth goes all Super Seth at Crown Jewel and then Drew turns heel mid-match because he realizes that this guy's back cannot be broken, so he low blows the guy and breaks his back for real, and then takes the championship.
Who wins
Drew.
though? Okay, then yes, go for it. Kasi, you know, if it's going to be another Nakamura thing, then what's the point?
I was kind of alluding to Brian in 2018, the way he went from AJ.
Oh, man. That's actually a better thing to happen than what I was thinking of. He just turns heel mid-match. And so, kasi, at this point, yung story kasi ni Drew na he's desperate because he's been not having the best of luck lately, and he's been blaming everyone for it. Like, he's been blaming the bloodline, he's been blaming kung sino na lang yung...
Hello. Oh, he's gone. He's gone again. yeah.
Emile, ganun baso. And then a question from Albert. Would you like it better if Drew would have a prize fighter character? I mean, KO already has that role, dude.
No, that isn't his character now. I don't think that's his character now. Drew doesn't fight for a prize, I think. It's also weird because nobody has really established the whole prize thing. They haven't done that since Lucha Underground. So I had when KO first became the prize fighter, I had to figure out what that was because nobody really establishes the money prize in pro wrestling since I don't know what, the 70s, 80s, whatever. So that hasn't really been a narrative device in pro wrestling in a long time. I guess it could work, but Kevin Owens has been that, and he was much better for that. Like, he was able to establish what he was as a prize fighter, why he is a prize fighter, a long time before Drew could, you know.
Yeah, for starters, KO actually was able to explain yung motivations niya as the prize fighter. He actually said that in a main roster promo, whereas si Drew, mas hugot yung motivation niya. Like, he's very resentful of the fact that he wasn't able to get his big WrestleMania moment in front of people, and then the fact na he was supposed to have it at Cardiff, na agawan pa siya ng Bloodline or nasulot pa ng Bloodline because of their interference. So, mas yun yung motivations niya, and that's really not the DNA of a prize fighter. That's really more of the DNA of someone who's very bitter.
Yeah. I do want to see where the bitterness goes. I mean, I don't condone the bitterness thing, but it is nice because it is infinitely more relatable. I think a lot more. That's why he's more sympathetic. Kasi people can see themselves in him, diba? May kanya-kanya tayong hugot na parang ganyan din. And Seth is now unrelatable to any of us because some of us maybe, you know, if you're powering through a nagging injury, then more power to you. Pero not everyone can be a hardworking, persevering champion in the face of physical illness.
With a really hot and awesome wife.
Yeah.
So, it's like if you have your create a wrestler sa WWE, diba? Yung mga tinatoggle mo yung character traits nila, yung prideful, disrespectful, that type of deal. Yung settings na ganun for a prize fighter, they're very different from what Drew McIntyre has going on right now. So, yun lang, just to really explain why he's not a prize fighter, and I don't think he will be in the foreseeable future. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the effects of the Kevin Owens trade to SmackDown and how it's finally affecting Sami Zayn, and we'll also talk about the Juice Robinson role of quarters. It's a bit of a holdover from last week, pero medyo nagka-context tayo in the week since last week's live stream. But first, a quick word from our other podcasts on the Pod Network. All right, Emile's back. Yeah, okay, nag-unmute si Emile, so he's back. So for those of you who would like to contribute to the Emile Nate Laptop Fund, Emile, pakibigay nga ang Gcash mo.
Kickstarter tayo.
Yeah, sorry kasi this na so kanina pa to. Actually recent weeks na while I'm working or even near live, unfortunately, bigla na nag-shut down. It's been twice
gotta ask you.
this episode.
Gotta ask
sinasakyan nga ni Emile. Kaya tayo nananawagan sa mga listeners ng Wrestling Podcast eh.
Get a new laptop from work or some shit.
Yeah, this December, I guess I'll try to procure one.
Procure ang puta. Anyway, right, let's move on. Let's talk about Sami here, who, when Jey Uso came over to Raw, he was like, yeah, Jey, my dog, diba? Us, you're back. And then now, finally na-affect siya in a personal way because his tag team partner has been ripped away from him and has been sent to SmackDown. For a moment there, he was actually angry towards Jey. So, I gotta say, I love the writing here because for one, in the old days of the brand split, when tag teams would get split up, they would just go their separate ways. They would have like a moment where they literally hug or go their separate ways, and then it's never mentioned again, right? But here, we actually see someone go through the emotions of their tag team partner no longer being by their side. And even better, it's actually nuanced because now Sammy's like, okay, maybe I'm not so happy anymore na nandito ka kasi ikaw yung may kasalanan why my best friend is now on SmackDown. So I really, really appreciate the writing with the Sami Zayn story from this week's Raw.
Technically, it's Cody's fault because Cody was the one who somehow finagled the trade. So,
also true.
No, dapat kay Cody siya magalit, diba? Nobody asked Jey Uso to come to Raw, right?
Except
Sammy.
Cody.
Sammy certainly didn't ask. Sammy certainly didn't ask Jey to come to Raw, although he was open to it. Although it was nice for him. So that is interesting. Yeah, I really love this little wrinkle. Again, it goes to show how somehow the writing on Raw is now infinitely better on SmackDown. Because over on SmackDown, you don't have half the roster reacting and expressing their feelings about how Roman Reigns is their champion, diba? And Jimmy Uso is back in the bloodline. Diba? You don't see that kind of scale when it comes to the story. For the most part, the bloodline is still a part of their own island, diba? In their own island on SmackDown. So this is pretty cool. I don't know why the difference in creative management and creative direction, but you can kind of see it's night and day here in Raw and SmackDown. So, okay to. It also helps that Sami is actually a pretty good actor that somehow that sells his despair over Kevin Owens getting sent to SmackDown. Diba? If it were in the hands of a less capable actor here, it would all fall apart. I think he should consider getting a job in TV in Hollywood, follow John Cena, and Edge. Diba? He's really good.
Seth Rogen's brother.
He and Kevin Owens are really good. They meron silang potential sa Hollywood, diba? So even Jey, especially Jey, the best leading man, best supporting actor. So it's all really good. Now, I wanted to take this to highlight how good they are, not just in the writing but also in the acting. Because people outside of wrestling could always make fun of wrestlers and wrestling fans. Because sometimes it's all really bad acting, but is underrated how people like these guys really sell the stories they're in. So it's not going to be, not everyone's going to be like Sir Anthony Hopkins or anything, but it's a lot better than other things. I would say many other things that we see in our screens.
Yeah. Emile, how long until Sammy gets all resentful again? Kasi, di ba sabi niya, oh no, we're good, Jay. Like, is he gonna stay good with Jay forever, or will he continue to feel resentful? I think we lost Emile again.
No, he's here. He is lagging. I don't know why he's not speaking, but I can see his video.
So hindi niya
he doesn't hear. Okay. Wow. That's a...
Hindi ko na alam, man. Guys, pakibigyan talaga ng... pakibigyan na lang ng laptop si Emile.
He can hear me for some reason. Sorry, what was your question again? I'll repeat for Emile.
How long until Sammy gets mad at Jay for real?
Ayun, Emile, how long until Sammy gets mad at Jey Uso?
Di ba nagbati naman sila eventually, pero I think this isn't the end of it. I mean, siguro up until Survivor Series when they finally have that blow off na the baby faces against the Judgment Day / the Bloodline. I think that they will resolve their conflicts then. Ito question lang like, I don't know if si Cody Rhodes ba yung nag-orchestrate itong trade? Or
that was him. That was his doing for some reason.
So Sammy should also
EVP sorry.
So in a way, Sammy should also be mad at Cody.
Yes, that's what I said before you came in.
Sorry again. Kasi tinago ni Cody kay Sammy na they're still teaming together.
Cody didn't hide anything. For some reason, Adam Pearce or Nick Aldis did not come to a decision as to who they would trade from SmackDown. To SmackDown, rather. Sorry. Which is hence my comparison from a few weeks back na that's kunyari na trade si Damian Lillard to the Bucks, but the Bucks don't know. Portland didn't know who the Bucks were giving away until in the middle of the season.
Wow.
Medyo weird though when you think about it, especially if you make the sports analogies and the comparisons, diba? Yung, like with the context of a trade. But it is what it is. And we get Kevin Owens on SmackDown.
Yep.
All right. Let's close things out here with some AEW talk once again. And this is something na hindi nyo napag-usapan last week with regard to the role of quarters na banat ni Juice Robinson dito kay MJF. So, tayo mga Pinoy, normally we're not exposed to Jewish people, to Jewish society, Jewish stereotypes, which is why I guess when this controversy happened on Dynamite last week, we didn't exactly react as much as we would have if, let's say, it were a stereotypical remark against a black person or an Asian person. So, Ro, you were the one who wanted to talk about this. So what have we learned in the week since Juice Robinson brought out the role of quarters?
Yeah, before this, we got to explain to our fellow Filipinos. Because, as you said, I didn't react to this. But normally, I would have a take because I didn't know why people were up in arms about it. Like, at first, I thought it was about the story that MJF told about, the bullies asking him to pick up quarters.
Yeah.
So, akala ko yun. But apparently, the reason why the bullies did that was because it does play to a racist stereotype about Jewish people. So the stereotype is that Jewish people are so mukhang pera na they would even stoop to picking up coins from the ground just so they could have more money, right? So that's the stereotype. And now that this was explained to me, I get why it's a harmful thing to do to a Jewish person. It would be like saying something about a black person liking fried chicken or a Filipino having a yaya mom or whatever, diba? Something like that. So the thing here now
did you guys
is,
also mention how last week yung timing nito was also off kasi that
no, I didn't talk about
a day or two after Hamas and Israel.
We didn't talk about this kasi I didn't see how it was damaging. I didn't see how it was really terrible until over the weekend. So the question now here is are the heels not allowed to cross this particular line as well in the mission to be really terrible and indefensible? Like, can we not say that? Can we not have the heels do this type of, irascible behavior just so we can have reasons to boo them? So I think, as you mentioned, because there is now the war in Israel, and Jewish people have been targeted by Palestinians, and there's a lot of anti-Semitism going on as well. I think the timing was just really, really bad. I think that's what made this whole thing a lot worse. No, I think had it not happened, I don't think the controversy would have died down, but I think it wouldn't have been as bad as it is now. And to the point that they dropped everything about it. They dropped everything about it entirely. The reason why he did this in the first place was to set up MJF as a Jewish hero of sorts, because he appeared at this summit over, I think, a few weeks ago about anti-Semitism. And he appeared in it with a bunch of other Jewish role models and celebrities and personalities. Kaya it was him drumming up the sentiment for him, to just broadcast how he is a Jewish role model, which is something I don't actually disagree with. That's actually a good thing to do. And MJF, because he's gonna push your buttons and just to make you feel something, as other people have mentioned. And I thought that his heart was in the right place. I think that it can be ugly at times, but MJF has shown that in order for a heel to be really hated by the people, you do have to make him do really terrible things that sometimes you can't justify anymore as a creative writer or as a fan. Kasi we go back to how the curtain has been pulled back way too much, that we are now cheering our heels because they do what we think are good heel things, diba? Good lucha things, diba? So it's really just a thing that it was just unfortunate kasi nagkataon talaga yung mix of the real life stuff. But I think I agree with MJF here that sometimes you do need to cross some lines as a heel, because otherwise, how are you going to portray really villainous characters, diba? It's like banning cruelty or something really gratuitous in TV or movies, right? It's like banning drug use or the drug trade in a show like Breaking Bad. Because it's bad for the people.
It's like banning villains from killing people in the stories, like in TV and movies. But the reason why you hate certain villains in the TV shows and in the movies that you watch is because they killed off a character that you actually liked. Yeah. So in the context of wrestling, I'm actually going to agree with you here that it's not a hard and fast rule. Na heels aren't allowed na to do like reprehensible things in character. It's just that timing is very important. Siyempre, yung public sentiment will definitely be affected by whatever's going on at a certain point in time. Like yung right now with the war in Israel. But also when you're a heel, you pick and choose. Diba? You pick and choose what it is that you will allow your heel to do in character. And it has to be pretty clear that the heel is doing and saying these things in character. Otherwise, magkakagulo na talaga with who's actually doing and saying what, and how bad really is this thing.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate because I think MJF really believed in it. I think he thought na now more than ever, especially after Hamas attacked Israel, diba? I think he believed that now more than ever we need a Jewish superhero, Jewish hero in MJF, and he really wanted to be that guy. And I don't blame him for wanting to be that guy. It's just that he took a risk. He believed in it, but it just fell flat. I don't fault him for taking that risk, especially when he rightfully believed that he was one of the biggest things in AEW right now, in wrestling right now, diba? So it's a gray issue talaga. Could we have said that? I think the prevailing thought is that he could have been a little more aware, especially with horrendous acts against Jewish people right now. But ultimately, I just can't fault him for trying to turn it into a good moment for his people, because eventually he was going to overcome. He was going to prevail. Obviously, that was where it was going, right? Because it's part of his story that he gets back at the bullies for bullying him, diba? So people just didn't want it to cook because they were already offended by the initial act.
Yeah. Siguro to just address some of the comments here from our listeners about ano ba talaga yung limits, who should be held accountable or whatever. I think the answer, for lack of a better catch-all term for it, is that it really needs to be a conversation between the talents involved, creative and management, and how well you know your audience. Kasi kayo lang din naman yung makakapagsabi talaga eh. Like yung sensibilities ng mga audience members ninyo. So it's not something na ako, like as a talent, as someone who also does these things creatively, I can't tell you na, ito is utterly reprehensible and you cannot say this in character as a heel. Because it also depends on like what your character is and what the story is and what the climate is sa audience ninyo.
Well, if we're talking about who is accountable for having this happen in the first place, unfortunately, it has to be Tony Khan. I don't want to pile on him even more, but he is the boss and he will get the blame for what his people do. What his people do, diba? Kasi he chose to be the boss. He chose to take on the responsibility of running the whole show, making sure what goes on the show and what doesn't. He has the final say on what happens. And if he got steamrolled by his talent to do this thing that could be risky and eventually fell flat, to put it nicely, it's his fault. It's on him. He should have known better to put the kibosh on something that controversial.
Yeah. Regardless, it will be a learning experience, in the words of Coach
It is. Yeah, Chot. Chot wins again.
Emile, get your stuff in regarding this conversation.
Again, pretty much agree with what both of you has said regarding this situation. It's just bad timing. Just generally bad timing. In the context kasi of the story, yes, I get what happened, pero because of the current events that was happening around that time, it enhanced, it enhanced the situation to something that you really don't want, like you don't want to be involved. So, yun lang. I don't think may intent naman sila to offend people. I don't think they had the intent to
there was an intent to offend, kasi there was the intent then to to have the offended party prevail and win.
Yeah, yun na nga. Yun na nga. So I don't think there was an intent to harm a whole generation of people. It's just that just bad timing. And it's a good thing that they kind of pulled back on it a little bit, considering what the reactions was last week. And that's again, sabi mo, Stan, it's learning experience then on AEW and how to handle these types of situations.
One last thing I'll say about this whole thing is I think it's a warning to all of us, especially because we're in the wrestling business here and we are literally in the business of telling stories. And these things, if the stories are told in a way that not everything happens in the same episode, kunyari, MJF didn't beat Juice Robinson for saying what he said in the same episode, people will think that it was just a shot done to provoke and offend, because I think people need to see that it was leading to the offended party overcoming. And obviously in wrestling, that doesn't happen right away. It's why people got so mad at Cody losing at WrestleMania, because they wanted everything to happen right away. But we can't. It's a week-to-week story. We don't get everything in the same episode. It's not like Netflix that we can binge all of it in one night, diba?
Yeah.
So it is unfortunate. This is what the streaming industry has done to us now. I will say it's a bad thing, but it's the reality of what we do now in entertainment. So I guess that's the lesson here for all of us, both as storytellers and as story consumers.
Ito, one last question.
Go.
I don't want to stir things up, pero what do you think was worse, this one or that Triple H promo that he did on Booker T from 20 years ago? Both of you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. The Triple H thing was bad because it eventually led to him beating Booker T.
Yeah.
Booker T didn't get his comeuppance at all. So you can kind of argue that was really, if not outwardly racist, talagang racially insensitive to the point na di nila nabawi, di nila na put over yung minority in Booker T.
What I will say is that wrestling has had a very horrible history when it comes to racial stereotypes.
Yeah.
So, we all have a lot to learn from all this history. And, zooming out, it's been a horrible 2 weeks for, the human race as a whole. And yung ginagawa natin with wrestling and the way we talk about it is just a very small thing. But my hope, personally is that our conversations about wrestling and the way that we watch it can give you a bit of a reprieve from just the gravity of everything that's going on around us.
Yep.
We don't expect you naman to always be mindful of everything going on around us, especially when life itself is hard. But we hope na kahit papano, the way we spend our time together on a Thursday night like this, the way we talk about wrestling, the way we bond together as a community can give you a bit of a reprieve. So yun lang, that's all that we can really hope for here on the Wrestling Podcast. And as always, we're very thankful that you choose to spend this time listening to our takes on wrestling and just using our podcast, our platform to get your mind out of all of the shitty things outside of our little wrestling bubble here.
Yep.
So on that note, let's get some plugs. We've got a huge show coming up this Sunday for MWF. If you want to continue to use wrestling to just put everything else on pause for a good few hours, then come join us on Sunday, October 22 sa Mandala Park. We'll be there 4 p.m. onwards for MWF Todos Los Wrestling. If you want to come in a Halloween outfit like Emile is planning to do his Paolo Ballesteros impression, then go ahead and join us this Sunday sa MWF Todos Los Wrestling.
Yes, sir. Was nothing much to plug on my end. Syempre, I just wanted to plug Unmasked, which is on season break as usual. But if you haven't listened to my podcast yet, it's available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Unmasked: Chronicles of Romuran and Sandata. It's me and Abiel, who is my coworker, and I tell stories about my career in wrestling, and I don't know when it'll come back yet. We're trying to work out a new deal, so hope that pushes through. Stan already mentioned MWF Todos Los Wrestling happening this Sunday. Please come in costume because I mean prizes for the best costume as well. Just go watch us on Rock of Manila TV if you're not able to make the shows, on YouTube as well. If you're not able to catch the Rock of Manila TV broadcast, we got ad-free on YouTube a few days after that airs on Monday nights. Yun naman, and follow us on TikTok and Threads and everywhere else.
Yeah. Si Emile normally only really plugs his social media. So ipa-plug ko na rin yung Gcash ni Emile para mabilhan natin siya ng bagong laptop. So
I just want to say I will give a plug to sa article na he wrote on Multisport about load management.
Hey,
I learned a lot about it and realized also a lot of things about it.
Yeah.
And so if you want to understand really the yung situation right now,
balimbing ka lang, di ba galit ka kay Kawhi Leonard? Balimbing ka, gago.
No, I'm not angry at Kawhi. Come on, I didn't say that I was angry at Kawhi. So if you want to understand a little bit better, if you're a basketball fan, you want to understand a little bit better about the load management thing, yung article ni Ro posted on multisport.ph, that's a really good read. So you better check that out.
Hey,
all right.
Thank you, man.
For the rest of us, go check out at Wrestling Podcast on Facebook and Instagram, TikTok and Twitter. It is at Wrestling2XPod. Individually, it is at EML_Meister, at Roiswar, at _Stancy, at Chino Supersize, and at Monday Night Rowan. Thank you very much to Babyface producer Zeke for tagging in tonight, and everyone else over at the Pod Network for all of the work that they do behind the scenes. On behalf of Romuran and Emile Nate, my name is Stan C, saying thank you very much. Stay safe, stay healthy. Wrestling Podcast out. Oh, and hey, don't be a dick, all right? Bye-bye.
Peace.
The opinions of podcast creators, hosts, and guests are not necessarily reflective of the official stance of the Pod Network Entertainment, its hosts, or other network programs. The content created by the people behind the podcast is personal and not meant to harm any